In real estate, there hasn't been historically really a great retirement plan. Why would somebody do business with you?
Well, because you both have little dogs, because I'm nice, because I'm fun.
And I was like, oh my gosh, he is literally talking to me. Because look, I love people. I love water fountain talk. I love BSing with people, but I want to make money. So you've got your license and you're thinking about joining a brokerage. These are three crucial questions that I guarantee nobody else has told you to ask when interviewing brokerages and taking into consideration where you want to join. Welcome to the To the Moon Collective. My name is Kyle Pettit. I am here to help you take your business to the moon. And by the way, I'm trying to continue to do the same thing. I got the same interests. So thank you for coming along on this journey. Let's get right into it. Number one, is there an exit strategy? And what is the exit strategy? Or better yet, what is an exit strategy? So this is actually two things. Some people hear the exit strategy and they think I'm saying, why would I join a brokerage with the intent to leave it? Well, first off, it's kind of like dating. Like you get your first girlfriend or boyfriend and you don't have any intent. You're not thinking to yourself, like, I'm going to date this person with the intent of breaking up. That's obviously not what we're doing. We're super into that person. Well, I think joining a brokerage is in some way, shape, or form a little bit similar. And it kind of depends on where we're at in our journey and where we're at in our life. And, people join real estate at different ages. Some are right out of college, some never even went to college. Some have gotten out of the military, like me. I did 9 years in the military before I got into real estate. So everybody's at a little bit different point in their life. And so we all have a little bit different things that we're looking for. But I will tell you, it is very, very, very common for agents to change brokerages at some point in their career. Better opportunities. Maybe they move cities. Maybe they join a team that's at another brokerage. So, the first exit strategy that I want to talk about that you should do some due diligence in researching is the exit strategy from maybe that first brokerage. What does it mean for your listings or your buyers or any of your clients that were assigned to you? Can you take them with you? By the way, these are also questions that you would ask a team. What's my lead that if I ever leave a team that I get to take with me? But also, what does that look like from the brokerage standpoint? So I'll tell you, I have switched brokerages before. And when we switched brokerages, that was a major topic of conversation. It was like, shoot, do we do this now? Should we wait till the fall? Because, historically speaking, we'll be a little bit slower in the fall, so there won't be as much thrash. Now, we were really, really fortunate because we were very independent as a team, and our managing broker gave us a huge, huge benefit of being able to leave with all of our listings, all of our clients, everything that we had under contract. And that was amazing. That was also not the standard. That is not the norm. In most cases, the brokerage that you're at is going to keep anything that was put under contract while they're there, largely because they still want to get paid on it, right? So every model is a little bit different. Some have a cap, so you pay up to a certain amount. The reason that it worked out with us, I think, in that scenario was because we had capped, and so we weren't really splitting the deals anyway. So I think to them there was a little bit of this like, well, you might as well just go start your own life. Also, we kind of felt like we had this kind of relationship with the managing broker at the time. He was a really great person to be involved with. He was phenomenal to do business with. In fact, we're not even at that brokerage anymore, and I still keep in touch with him. I called him the other day to ask him some advice. I asked him some advice on my own personal home purchase. So the exit strategy for leaving a brokerage entails specifically, what is it like for my reputation? What is it like for my clients, right? I cannot stress that enough. It might seem like a weird question to ask, but you'll also see it in the contractor agreement, right? When you're looking at the independent contractor agreement or the ICA, it'll actually tell you quite a bit about that as well. And the last thing I'll say about that is what you really want to know is, are there any penalties? Are there fines or penalties for leaving early? So I don't know enough about this to speak super, super intelligently, but I do understand that some legacy brokerages, for example, they will give a huge sign-on bonus to especially some bigger agents. They will join that brokerage, but then you you have like a 3-year agreement with them. Well, what happens if you leave early? There are definitely fines associated or penalties associated or having to pay back certain bonuses that you may have received. Now, initially, when I wanted to talk about exit strategies, that was actually the one that was least important because I was like, you know what? I will just take it as it comes. And that's not really my priority. Like, if I want to leave a brokerage now, I don't want to be locked into something like that where I can't leave for 3 years. Like, what? But for me, it was more so, what's the exit strategy from the business? What does that look like? I mean, listen, I love this business. I freaking love doing real estate. I feel so blessed that not only am I relatively good at it and I've found good success and I work really hard, but I enjoy it. That is a huge blessing. I feel so good about that. But at the same time, I don't want to be doing this until my deathbed. And I started to notice, um, especially at my last brokerage, I started to notice that there were some freaking rock stars that were 55, 60, 65 years old. And it was like, sick. You did 400,000 this year or 250,000 or whatever it was. It's like, sick. What are you going to do next year? 400,000 again? 405, 350? Well, what about the next year? And what about the next year? And what about the next year? And that became something really, really important to me because, in the military, you can retire after 20 years. That's cool. But in real estate, there hasn't been historically really a great retirement plan. And so I wanted to know, if I get into this business and I give a lot of hard years to this business, is there an exit strategy? Is there a way that I could back off or get out of the business entirely and still be okay, have some kind of, I don't know, retirement plan? So does the brokerage offer any kind of profit share or revenue share or anything share? Does the brokerage offer stock? That's another great way. Now I will say this about stock, right? Stock is finicky, right? So you could get into a brokerage early and the stock quadruples, and suddenly you've got $700,000 worth of stock and you're like, oh my God, I'm sitting pretty. And then, financial crisis happens and suddenly you don't have that to rely on. But it doesn't invalidate it. It's just not something that I would like 100% like rely on. Like, oh, I'm getting stock, I'm good. But I just can't imagine personally being somewhere that doesn't have some kind of residual income opportunity, right? We know in real estate, residual income is actually really powerful. It's why people buy houses and then they rent them out. It's so that they can get some passive income. It's so that, not that rent money, like $200 or $300 a month is like life-changing amounts of money, but eventually you pay that off or you've got appreciation, right? You've got passive income happening. So that to me, if I'm being frank, that was actually what caused us to leave our last brokerage, is because it did not have commensurate opportunity that I wanted. Before we continue on with this video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. It would mean a ton to me if you'd hit the subscribe button. I have some unbelievable things planned for this year. This YouTube channel is going to grow and it's going to be insane. The To The Moon Collective, we've got a lot in store. Please hit the subscribe button. And if you have any interest or questions about Real Broker, that is where I am employed, I would love to chat with you about it. Shoot me a DM, hit the Calendly link below, and we can hop on a call. I would love to sponsor you into this company and help you get off the ground and get to the moon with your business. Back to the episode. Okay, question number 2. You know what? I earlier said that nobody's ever talked about this one, but this one is for sure, absolutely, no matter where you are in your career, this is a very, very powerful one, and it is training. What kind of training is available? And now I feel like I'm probably speaking to mostly younger agents or agents that are kind of growing their business. So training is super important. And I love sitting in training because to me, number one, it's like this dopamine hit. It reminds me that there's people doing business and there's good things and there's creative ideas. I swear, every time I sit in a good training, almost every time I sit in a good training, I think to myself, I'm like, dang, that was a cool idea. I never would have thought of that as something that I could have done, right? What I've also learned is that this business, I think to succeed in this business, you have to be a lifelong learner. The most successful agent that I knew at the previous brokerage that I was at, she's an absolute monster. And she came to trainings all the time. She came to all the team meetings because she was always trying to learn more and sharpen the sword, as it were. Now, I think that's super important. because something that I learned that I think was a pivotal moment in my career was I kind of was relying on my ability to just be charming and to, get along with people and connect. And then I heard this trainer and he was like, "Why would somebody do business with you?"
Well, because you both have little dogs, because I'm nice, because I'm fun.
And I was like, I was watching this and I was like, "Oh my gosh, he is literally talking to me." And he goes, "Because what's going to happen is I've done nauseating, disgusting amounts of practice, and I'm going to show up to that listing appointment after you. And who do you think is going to get the listing?" And he's right. He's 100% right. And in that moment, I looked at myself and I was like, "Self, no more. I'm not just going to rely on chance and charm and getting along well with people." I said, "I'm going to put my skills to practice. I'm going to sharpen that sword." So I started writing out scripts. I started practicing. I would literally listen. It was his scripts. By the way, it's Aaron Novello. He's a monster over at EXP. He's got a huge, amazing organization called Elite Builders. He's a phenomenal human being. And I would listen to him talking like role playing, and I would listen and I would just be like copying him and just over and over and over again, just getting the muscle movement, the mouth memory of saying these objection handlers or presenting certain things. And it was really powerful. And the more that I did that, the better my business got. So no matter where you are, by the way, that was on YouTube, right? So there's always good training on YouTube, but you still want to feel supported and you still want to feel like you have on demand training. And I will tell you, one of the questions that you should be asking is, can I see the training schedule? In fact, don't show me the bullshit from that, the planned one from last month. I want to see the next 3 months of training or 2 months of training. And if they can't give you that, that's a problem. And I will tell you again, the brokerage that I left, we would ramp up training and we'd have like 2 or 3 a week. And then it would just kind of die off because you see the way that a brokerage is it's a brick and mortar building. It's a franchise. And you're really relying on that franchise to provide you training. And the problem with that is that who's going to teach it? Another agent? What's their incentive? Why would they teach, right? How do we get that agent that I was talking about? How do we get her to come and teach a class when she's out there slinging deals? So what would always happen is we'd ramp up and then it would just, and it would trickle off. Is there live training that's available on demand? Maybe via Zoom. If there's a couple of cloud-based brokerages that are really, really powerful. And what does that look like in terms of, am I getting training from the company or is it just in my network, right? That's a totally different thing. So again, how much training? Let me see the training schedule. And then personally, before joining, I would want to sit in multiple trainings with that broker or with that brokerage at least, and get a real feel for the quality, right? Are they just teaching mindset all the time? By the way, Aaron Novello also hit a bunch of us in the mouth when he said this. He was like, people that can't do, they teach mindset. When really we need to be teaching skills. But if you don't have the skills, you can't teach them. So you teach mindset instead. And he says it much more eloquently than that, obviously. But I was like, oh my God. And I started to realize we just had a ton of trainings on mindset.
You can do it. Theoretical stuff.
And to me, it was like, no, I need hard skills. Teach me negotiation skills. Teach me objection handling with other agents. This is a bizarre business because if I'm negotiating with somebody, typically I'm negotiating with the person that is in control. In a real estate transaction, it's not like that. I'm negotiating with the person that is the representative of the person. You see how bizarre that is? And so you actually have to have negotiating skills, also sales skills, but very much negotiating skills. And why are we not teaching this more often? Or real social media strategy. Again, the brokerage that I left, there was nobody that was really a social media expert. I'm not even a social media expert. And yet I was the one that would be asked to teach. And I knew theory, but I don't have 20,000 followers. Well, I do on TikTok, but TikTok is like, viral. You could pop off one day and then have 200 views for the rest of your life, right? Like it's such a different world. And yet I was the person that was teaching it because I was like the most qualified because we were limited to the franchise. So to wrap all that up, how often is the training? Sit in on some training. What's the quality? What's the breadth of topics, the diversity of topics, right? By the way, is there something, I know I'm talking to mostly new agents, but is there something for you, a new agent? And is there something for somebody that's been doing it for 5 years or 10 years, right? Is there still something that they could dial into to still get value? That I think is huge. All right. And number, Trace, culture. Now, culture is a really interesting one to talk about. And so I think everybody has a little bit different experience with culture. And ultimately, you just want to know, like, is it toxic or is it not? Is it a productive work environment or is it not? And there's a couple different ways that you can evaluate it. Again, I think the number one way to do it is to go to the training, go spend some time in the office. If you're working on your license, just go sit in the office. Nobody will ever be upset about like a potential recruit coming and spending time in the office, just working on your CRM, rubbing shoulders with other people. I would 100% encourage that. And then I would ask some other agents, what's the culture like? What is it like? Do you feel like it's a supportive environment? Is there a scarcity mindset here? So that first brokerage that I was at, I loved. Okay. Everything that I've said, there were things that I eventually learned that led to my exit, right? Which was topic number one. But the culture there was phenomenal for so long. And it was because we had a killer CEO and he was so good. And everybody that was involved in the leadership team was so good and they cared so much. And it was truly, there was no scarcity mindset there. It very much felt like I could go down the hall and I could ask another agent. I could be like, hey, I'm really struggling with this. How do I do this? Hey, I've got this problem. Can you help me? Hey, I cannot figure out why I'm so bad at X, Y, or Z. Can you give me 5 minutes? And that was really, really powerful because it really felt like we were just trying to uplift each other, right? Rising tide lifts all ships. And I really felt that and I loved that. Eventually the brokerage dwindled down. And then there was just like nobody around. And so a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of brick and mortar brokerages that, have franchise offices and they're touting that that's the number one, like, this is it. I mean, I don't know if it is because I've been in a lot of them and there's not a lot of people in them. In fact, that brokerage, we had like 120 people and there were 7 of us in there on the daily. And then we would do team meetings and maybe 30 people would come in. Okay. So I would want to see on a day-to-day basis, this is not a decision to make super quick. I would want to see on a day-to-day basis, are people coming in? Are deals being done? Is there an environment of productivity? Because look, I love people. I love water fountain talk. I love BSing with people, but I want to make money. I'm here to do deals. You're here to do deals, right? And I want to be around people that are doing that and that are inspiring me and helping me and encouraging me to do deals. And by the way, I'll also tell you, just as an aside, when we were in our transitionary phase, I worked from home for 2 months. Now, this is not for everybody because a couple of my teammates really struggled being home, and my business tripled in that time frame that I was home. I got more busy than I'd ever been because I became a little bit of a workaholic, and I could just go. Any free minute, I could sit at the computer and get one more thing done. That's not for everybody, and I'm not necessarily encouraging that. But I will say that the culture question becomes a really big hurdle, especially when you're looking at like a cloud brokerage or some of the boutique brokerages. So you really just want to get a real feel and talk to the people in those brokerages. Talk to a couple people that are about where you are. If you're a brand new agent, find some other brand new agents. It's not that hard. And then also find some other agents that have been there for a while and chat with them and be like, yo, what do you feel? What do you like? How do you feel about the culture? How do you feel about the supportiveness? Is it a positive environment? Is it an encouraging? Is there scarcity mindset here? Are people helping each other? Because man, I've heard some horror stories. I personally thank the heavens I've never experienced like a really bad cultural environment. And I'm really, really grateful to my previous brokerage that was, a franchise, a brick and mortar that I went to every day and had a great experience. But I have heard some absolute horror stories, which by the way, tracks back to number one, where like people don't leave because they feel trapped because the exit strategy is going to be too violent for them to leave that brokerage. They basically leave, or they've been manipulated. I hate to say that, but like they feel like they've been manipulated, where it's like, you can go, but what business are you going to do? Where are you going to get leads? How are you, you think that you're going to succeed without being here? Good luck. And there is unfortunately in this business a lot of emotional manipulation, and but that's not a brokerage thing. I think that's just a personality thing. So it really just matters who's in charge. You know, you could be at one of those brick and mortar brokerages and you could have a freaking phenomenal experience, and more power to you. But you definitely want to know who the leadership is. Are they inspiring? Are they promoting each other? Are they building each other up? Are they, it's not that mindset is bad, because especially in tough markets, you have to be able to charge the storm, as it were, and you have to be able to lead through that. So you definitely don't want somebody who's like a noodle at the helm, But anyway, that's the way that you can figure those things out. So now you're asking, okay, Kyle, well, you've told me these three things, and clearly you had a good experience. Great. You had a great experience at your previous brokerage, but when you started to consider these three things, you left. Why did you leave? I'm not even going to mention where I was because it's irrelevant. I left because I saw the opportunity. I saw an unbelievable opportunity. And once I saw it, I could never unsee it again. So to go in the three, number one, exit strategy. The biggest thing in the world for me was I started seeing, like I said, these older agents, and it was like, cool, what are you going to do next year? What's your exit strategy from the business? And there was no exit strategy. And so Real Broker provides two unbelievable opportunities for an exit strategy. And one is stock options. And there are 4 ways to get stock in this brokerage. Number one is the stock purchase program. I'm going to hit these quick because we'll have a whole nother video that goes more into it. The stock purchase program, it's almost like contributing to a 401k. So the way that it works is pre-cap. When I get my commission, 5% of my commission before I even get it just goes straight into purchasing real stock. And then at the end of the year, the company matches 10% of everything that I've contributed. That's baller. And then after you cap, it's 10% and they will match 20%. That's huge. I've only been at the company for a couple months and I already have over $2,500 in stock, and the stock is continuing to rise because the company is run by incredible leadership. Tamir Poleg, Sharon Srivatsa. It's unbelievable, right? So that gave me a lot of confidence. That's just cool because I'm just making money and that thing is continuing to happen. And ideally it continues to grow. By the way, I started buying real stock. It's REAX. I started buying real stock. This is not financial advice, before I even joined Real, because I believed in the company so much. And I was like, what is happening over there? This is crazy. I've never seen a company like this. So I started buying, and now I still buy it on my own, and I still take advantage of the stock purchase program. The other ways that you can do it is agent attraction. You get awarded handsomely for that. Once you do cap and you hit that number, the company, they'll give you, the math depends on when you join and when you cap and all this kind of stuff. But right now, it's almost $1,000 of stock that they give you. So that's freaking incredible. And then once you become an elite agent, which is doing on average 27 to 35 deals, you become elite agent, you can get the opportunity to get $24,000 in stock. Talk about an exit strategy, right? Talk about something that helps you build legitimate wealth. Okay, so number 2, rev share. Rev share is crazy. And look, I've done both. I've done the profit share and I've done the rev share. The profit share, unfortunately, in my opinion, is 100% dependent on the CEO and the revenue being produced by the brokerage. If that brokerage is not profitable, there is no profit to share, period. End of story. That's it. The revenue share model, as much as other people are like, oh, there's no way, it's going to fail, it's going to fail. No, it's not. Our business, Real, has been doing it for over 10 years. EXP started all the way back in 2009, 2008, right? We've modeled ours after them, taken a couple of their lessons, implemented generally the same, but with a couple minor differences. Revenue share is also incredible. We'll have a whole video that explains what revenue share is, but effectively think of it like this. You have we'll say it like this. I get a $10,000 commission, right? The person that sponsored me into the company. So I have an 85-15 split to Real. So $8,500 comes to me, $1,500 goes to Real. And then my sponsor gets some of that $1,500. Now, once I hit my cap, there's no more split. And so my sponsor's not like continually getting all like, you know, for eternity. It is just until I cap, which is pretty awesome. That's another way that the company does not go bankrupt, by just sharing all this revenue. But the revenue share it encourages you to get people into the company and to help them produce. I have a financial incentive. The people that I sponsor into this company, I interact with them almost on a daily basis, very much so a weekly basis, for all kinds of things, because I have a financial incentive to help them be productive. That's awesome. And we have, so two things, a retirement plan. So once you've been at the company for a certain amount of years, it's like 3. Once you've been at the company for 3 years, you actually get to keep 60% of your revenue share for eternity. That's amazing, right? Especially for people that are making big, big money. My sponsor's sponsor making over 100K a year in revenue share. Some of the guys that have been with the company like for quite a few years. Now, granted, this is insane, but like there are guys making 100,000 a month, 200,000 a month, right? And imagine like you still get 60% of that after you retire if you keep your license in active status. And then the other cool thing about it, even more powerful, I think, is that it's willable. You never know what's going to happen, but and so imagine making an extra $100,000 a year on top of your the business that you're generating. Your family gets used to a certain lifestyle. Your wife and your kids, or your husband, whatever, your spouse and your kids get used to a certain lifestyle, and then the unfortunate happens. You get out of the business, you die, right? Something like that. That is willable, and they'll continue to receiving that revenue share. That's incredible. Now, do you see why that when I'm talking about exit strategies, why that was so important to me? Okay, so number 2, training. I'll keep this one really brief, but training, while I had like good training, I started to realize that at that brokerage, it was solely based on what you were being provided there. And outside of that franchise, that was kind of it. Whereas at Real, we have it's called Real Academy. So it's online. And what I'll do is like, literally, I'll just be like in between appointments or driving or something like that. And I'll just pull up the calendar, and there are over 30 live trainings a week. When I populate that calendar, it's like, oh my God. So I'll just find one. I'll be like, oh yeah, this person's a baller. I'm for sure going to dial into this one. I'll just dial in, and maybe I'll be in the whole thing. Maybe I'll be in 30 minutes, but it keeps my brain functioning. It's better than me just scrolling Instagram, between appointments or whatever. So that I really love. It's literally training on demand. And by the way, not only are they live, but there's over 1,000 trainings that I can go back and watch on any topic. I can search for open houses, social media marketing, YouTube, business, accounting, development, like anything. You could find literally anything in there. And the coolest part about it is that generally speaking, almost all of the instructors in there are active agents who are elite agents who are doing high level business because they are financially incentivized from the stocks. They're financially incentivized as part owners in the company to teach in Real Academy. And so they put a lot of effort into it. And the training is by and large freaking incredible. And you know what? When you just understand that you're talking to agents all over the country, you understand that that's the way that it is. And so people are very active. It's a great way to build community. And so with that, I'm going to go to you know what? Before I get to number 3, which is culture, I'm going to give a shout out to Sharon, because watching Sharon, he's the president of the company, watching him give multiple trainings, I was going to him over any other leader in the industry to learn about the business, to learn tactics and strategy. And that's when I was like, man, this is the guy that's at the helm, especially with all these NAR changes that are coming up. And, just this business is hard. That's the guy that I want to be associated with. Now, number 3, culture. He is also a huge part of the culture. You'll see on our shirts all the time, work hard, be kind at Real Broker. Work hard, be kind. And I just want to tell this little anecdote, and then I will tell you about my experience with the culture. I went to New York City, and I got to go to the NASDAQ with all the leadership. Tamir was there. He's the CEO and the founder. Sharon was there. A bunch of the top agents in the company were there. And what was so interesting is I found myself on the subway and I was going back to my hotel and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, these people are so kind. Like, how do I be more kind? How do I give people a little bit more grace? How do I lead with a little bit more grace? Because I can be pretty aggressive, and sometimes not the nicest. And I spent just as much time thinking about how I could be nice and how I could be kind as I did thinking about how I could double my business, right? That's when for me, I was like totally bought in. I mean, I already loved the company before then, but that's when I was 100% bought in. I was like, oh, this isn't just some platitude on the wall. This is for real. They really mean this. And I really bought in. And that is really like, we protect that. We protect the culture. And it's the number one question that gets asked at these big conferences is, okay, now you're passing 20,000 agents. What are you going to do to make sure that we protect the culture? And we protect it in a lot of ways. And that's not what this video is about. There's a lot of ways in which we protect the culture. It's the way that we do agent attraction. It's the way that we teach. It's the way that we interact with agents, not at our brokerage, right? It's the way that we talk about, when all these changes were happening, Sharon did this like 2 hour, this playbook for how to navigate the new changes from the settlement. And he started and he ended with, we have to lead by grace. We have to lead by grace. We can't just go out there and just, everything's a nail and we're just going to be a hammer and we're going to beat up other agents and, bully people and be jerks. That's not the way that we're going to represent Real Broker. And man, that was just so powerful to me. I really, really love that. And I will say, because you're a part owner in this company, when you join Real and you start closing, you close your first transaction, you get a little bit of stock. You start bringing people into the company with me, you get a little bit of stock. Like, that's cool. You are now literally a part owner in the company. And so you want to see the company succeed. You want to build up your fellow agents. You want to support the other agents in your city that are putting on events, because it lifts us all up. It lifts the stock price. It lifts the notoriety of the brokerage. All these things working in tandem, and it creates this culture of what we say also a lot here, which is collaboration is greater than competition. And it's interesting because I feel like I've seen a lot of agents from other brokerages start to try to use that as like a thing that they say. And I'm like, no, you don't say that. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but this is a part of who we are. The work. I've been called out. I've been called out a couple times for not being nice. And they're like, yeah, work hard, be kind. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And it's just a reality check. It's a heavy responsibility. And I'm not perfect. But I'm so appreciative to be in a culture that is what we're about, that we're about lifting each other up. So I don't mean to get all woo-woo on you, but I think that these are the three most important things that you should be exploring when you are considering which brokerage to join. If you have any interest in learning more about Real Broker and you would like somebody to sponsor you, I would be honored to sponsor you. It would give me the opportunity to connect a little bit more with you, and I'd be personally invested in your success. And I hope that you understood from this that I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm willing to tell the truth. And the people that have come on with me, we meet all the time and we have really great conversations, and we are here to take our businesses to the moon. So if you have interest in doing that, hit the link below, reach out. I would love to have a conversation with you. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.